Hi there, welcome to Crafty Shenanigans. I'm Shannon Smith, and last week we had an amazing launch, and it was so great to have so many people who just subscribed and who shared my video, and I really do appreciate that. And it actually inspired me to make a thank you card for tonight's project. So let's just go ahead and jump in and get started. Okay, so we've got our card panel here. It's 3 3/4 by 5 inches. And we are going to go ahead and prep that so that we can get it ready for embossing. We're just going to use this little guy to make it so that our embossing powder only goes where we want it to and that it doesn't stick all the way all over anywhere we don't. And I'm going to start out by showing you this really pretty stamp. This is called Doodle Feather. And it is by Magenta, and they have some beautiful products. If you're not familiar with Magenta, you need to get familiar with them. They have tons of just beautiful florals, gorgeous stencils, and then they've got really pretty watercolor powders. So check them out. And also I will point out, I love the way that they're stamped. They've got these beautiful deep etchings, and they do stamp very well. So we're going to go ahead and we will use that with our clear pigment ink. This is an FSJ product. And we are going to go ahead and one nice thing is this happens to be a very juicy pad. And that is key to what we're doing today. So make sure if you have a clear pigment pad of any sort that it's nice and juicy. And if not, then go ahead and re-ink it. Okay, so we're going to make a pattern with our feather. And it probably doesn't look like much to you right now because it is clear. But once we get that all inked up and get our embossing powder on it, you will be able to see how pretty it is. I think we can fit one more feather in there. I have to hold it up because it's a little hard to see. Okay, I think we are ready to roll. So we've got 3 different embossing powders. These are all FSJ. We've got rose gold, and then we've got their regular gold, and then we've got copper. And so for our technique today, we're just going to go ahead and we're going to take a paintbrush with our rose gold. Actually, I need one more thing. We're just going to use this piece of scratch paper underneath. And I just took a piece of scratch paper and folded it down the middle. And I actually thought that worked best for what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm just going to load this brush up with lots of powder. And then the nice thing is you can kind of control where you want it on your feathers. So I'm just going to go ahead and just tap that on there. And I just kind of turn it in there. You can see I'm just turning the brush in there and kind of even getting some on top like that. So I can just dump it right over the top. Actually, I can't really. There we go. Okay. Just having a hard time seeing where the tops of my feathers were. And it's okay if it goes in other places. All of the powders are going to kind of have a point in them where they kind of meld with the other colors. When you tap it, make sure you don't tap it so hard that you take all your powder off. You want a generous amount on there. Okay, I think we're ready to go to our next color. So then I just take my piece of paper, fold it back up and kind of tap it. And then just tap it right back into my jar. And then I actually am going to go ahead, I'll do this off camera, but I'm just going to brush all of that off just to make absolutely sure there's not anything left behind so I don't muddy up my powders. Okay, so let me go ahead and move that. And then in between, I just kind of take my brush. It's best if you have like a paper towel or something, but there's not too much in there. We're good. Okay. So let's go ahead and use our gold. And we'll just do the same thing. Just moving down the feather a little bit. And you do kind of want to overlap them a little bit. We don't want any white spaces in between. You do want to work as quickly as you can, just because you don't want your ink to dry. Once you've got your powder on your ink, it's not as critical, but getting the powder on while your ink is nice and juicy is the trick. All right, we're just about there. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we'll tap that off. And right here you can see there's some powder sticking where we don't want it. So we can just take our brush and we can use it to get that powder off. And really the pointy tipped brushes are best for that. I've even been known to use like the little paper blending stumps. Those are really nice too because the embossing powder will stick to those really well. And they generally have a nice tip on them anyway, so they're already usually sharp. So they also work really, really well. We've got a little bit over here too. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to our next color, which is copper. Okay. Again, just kind of twisting the brush when it's in there so I can kind of load it up. Want to make sure we have plenty of powder on there. I think we just about have her. Okay, So we're just going to check for little imperfections. We've got a little bit right here we don't want. Oh, there's a little bit down there. And actually, it's good to look too while you're at it to see if you're missing some spots. Like I can see we could use a little bit more powder there, and we could use maybe a little bit right in here. So we'll go ahead and we'll add a little more powder there. And it looks like right there we may not even have enough ink there, but that's okay. All right, so we're just gonna brush that off a little bit. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's tap that back into our jar. All right. And this is very typical of embossing powder. It is really messy. If you haven't done it before, just kind of expect to be wiping up powder. Okay. So now we are going to take our heat tool and we are going to see the magic happen. And I actually am going to stand up for this. Hopefully you'll be able to see as it changes. And I like to heat from the bottom because I feel like it kind of prevents the little pock marks that sometimes happen. Ooh, it's already starting to change. Can you see where it's up at the top? Can you see where it's changing over? So pretty. You can see how nicely these colors just are kind of melting together. It's a really pretty combination of colors. See if I can tilt that so you can see the colors changing over a little bit. You don't want to hold it in the same place too long because it will burn your paper. And you do want to keep it far from your skin because it will burn. And if you heat embossed, you probably already knew that. See that changing? So pretty. Such an easy way to make such a pretty card. leaf. All right, so you can see that really pretty shimmer that it gets. Love it. Okay, so now we're just going to cut a circle out of this panel. We're just going to use, this is an FSJ circle die set, and we're just going to go ahead and we will, let's see, just deciding which direction I want it. I think we'll go this way. No, I think we'll go this way. So this is just repositionable tape. And I'm just going to go ahead and die cut that really quick. There's only so much room in my studio, so don't want to put my machine on because it's quite large and it'll take up the whole screen. So I'm just going to go ahead and I did that on the side there. Okay, so now you can see our panel has this nice circle out of it. Now if you do this ahead of time, one thing is that there is a little indent around where the die was, and so it will leave a little white line. So it is better to do that. Actually, I can show you. It's better to do that after you've already done the embossing. And I found that out for you. I took that bullet. You can kind of see that white line where you don't see it on this one. So if it doesn't bother you, fine. But if it does, then go ahead and do it after you've done it. Okay, so now we've got this cute panel all cut out, and we're just going to add a little bit of silk, and it just gives it a little bit more character. I've got a little bin that I use for that. Excuse it, it's not very pretty, but it does the trick. And it keeps all of my splashes contained. So this right here is silk. This is bronze. This is made by FSJ. And it looks kind of like nail polish. But it's just fun. You just go ahead and flick it with your finger. Just to get a little bit of splatter. And I like this bronze with the colors. It just goes really nice. And it really doesn't take very long to dry either, which is nice. So if you want to blow on it a little bit or whatever, speed the process along. Take that ugly thing out of the way. And now I'm just going to add this to my little mat. And I'm going to do that with some foam squares. I already started. So we'll just add another foam square. Okay, so we'll just peel these little guys off. We'll just add that to our mat. Okay, hopefully those were pretty dry. And then this really cute little die set. This is, oops, I actually have some adhesive on the back of that, so we'll just move that out of the way. This is Sizzix. This is such a pretty die. And I just went ahead and pre-cut that out of gold. And we're just gonna, I cut some little slivers out of the foam squares. And I cut them super thin. I just went through and grabbed my scissors and just cut them as thin as I could. And then I added them to the back. And the reason I did that is just, I'm not even going to peel off the adhesive backing thing, the little thing that keeps it from sticking. I'm not going to even take that off because all I'm putting them there for is so that it stays popped up and that it doesn't cave in right there on our card. So I'm actually going to just use glue to adhere that. I would just use a little tiny bit just over in the corners, and I'm actually not even going to bother showing you that right now because I think I will just go ahead and show you the finished project. So here is our project all finished. You can see I've added a few more details, and it's just a simple but really fun and elegant card. And what a great way to say thank you to somebody. Do you have somebody that you want to say thank you to? Put something in our comments about maybe something nice that somebody's done for you recently. I'd love to read them. I love going back and seeing the things that you guys have written. Well, I hope that that got your creative juices flowing and that you've got maybe some new ideas that you want to try out in your craft space. So thank you so much for watching, and watch again on Fridays and Wednesdays. I will try to always keep that consistent so that you'll know where to find me and when. So thank you so much, and I'll see you again.